Thank you everyone for joining in today. And we are live with our keynote speaker, Mr. Ali Isikli. And trust me, he's a gem of a person. We met in Dubai in March at the Internet 2.0 conference, and we had a really wonderful time discussing on cybersecurity. So coming to cybersecurity, he has been the pioneer in his organization to start this cybersecurity group in his company, Aslan Inc., if I'm pronouncing the name right. And he being a veteran and then coming to the domain of IT, setting up everything from scratch and giving back to the community as a whole, I believe we will have a lot to learn from you, Ali. So over to you now.
Thank you, Shivani. Good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you are around the globe. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Shivani, and the ClipCon team by honoring me and inviting to be part of this great conference. I hope you will enjoy the upcoming minutes. Today, we will be talking about cybersecurity continuum, and I'm sure that this phrasing you will be hearing first, but you will get the idea as we are just proceeding. So I am Ali Isikli. I am the Cyber System Security Engineer Manager at Assassin, and I am celebrating my 26th year at the very same company. So, and today I will try to make you think. I'm not here to teach you anything, as Socrates stated many, many years ago. Let's start with the definition of continuum. If you just typed in to Google and Oxford, Webster, even IMDb has its own version. So it's basically a continuous sequence of things. And we will coming up to that, what is this related with the cybersecurity. So I would like to take you to the year 1971, when the very first computer virus Creeper surfaced. And then a year later, the Reaper is announced, which finds the Creeper and deletes it. And the following years, we saw a lot of development in the antivirus programs, and followed with the firewalls, IDS, IPS, and all the technology, you name it. But the interesting thing that at 1987, Fred Cohen wrote in an article that no algorithm that can perfectly detect all possible computer viruses. That's interesting that back in 1987, I strongly support that statement, that sentence, and it's true today as well. So, and the very first cyber attack that is recorded, it's dating back to 1988, and Robert Morris wrote a computer program with good intentions, but ended up a worm with the unexpected consequences, right? So you may start thinking that how relevant are those events today, or with the context of the cybersecurity continuum? These whole sequences of events created a perception that cybersecurity is discrete. What I mean, it's something like this. We have a threat, and we try to overcome that threat specifically with a technology. And this is one time only. We are installing an antivirus software to withstand the viruses. We install a firewall, and when we start thinking that behind the firewall, we are secure, we install an IDS and IPS, and that creates a perception that that device withstand any possible attack itself. And I'm sure you will all acknowledge that is not true. So today we have developers that could be a software developer, it could be a refrigerator manufacturer, a smartphone developer, just imagine. And we have the consumers. right? And they use the outcome, whatever the developers produce. So keep that in mind. How relevant it will become more clear. So today we have a rapid growing technology and it's disruptive, right? Things changes fundamentally with new technologies. And this is as well as for our own good, but it's a weapon in the hand of bad actors. By the bad actors, I mean the hackers, the hacktivists, the state actors, you name it. They have indefinite time, resources, and different motivations to hack into systems and give like bad results or do bad things on the systems or on state. Like the things that's happening between Ukraine and Russia, and there was a cyber war happening at the back stage, at the back scene, that we are not seeing it, but in reality, it's happening. So in this world, something discrete, something one time only, cannot withstand a cyber attack. It does not create you a cyber defense or a cyber shield in today's world, in today's reality. What we need, so I categorize that into 5. You can categorize your pillars in different aspects, but today, everything that is produced has to be secure. The security must be an integral part of the design process, either as a developer or a consumer. If you're just producing something, you have to develop something secure. The security has to be an integral part of that system. And as a consumer, if you are designing something, designing a system, a network, an infrastructure, you name it, it has to be secured by design. Security shouldn't be an afterthought. It shouldn't be like bolted on the system or the solution, whatever you're creating. It shouldn't be something like this. You designed a perfect network and then, oh, I need a firewall. I'm just installing it here and I need an IDS and IPS, I'm installing it. It shouldn't be that way. And on the road, we are procuring things while developing or consuming. And it is via our supply chain. If it's an organization, we have some processes in place. But if we are an individual, we are just finding those manufacturers and we are just going and buying those goods. And that supply chain has to be secured as well. We saw a lot of attack originating from the supply chain, that most of the threats are originating through the supply chain because they are thinking that I cannot hack into that system directly, but they have a weak link, an unsecured supply chain. And if I hack into their system, I will gain access to the main system. That's the idea. Or let's say you are using a chip in your system, let's say a smartphone, the tablet, or a computer. They cannot hack into after you produce that system. What they do that, they're just bribing the manufacturer, install an infected firmware into these chips that we are going to buy. And when we install that chip into our system, our whole system is compromised. They originally bears a backdoor. And we have to be aware of that. And we have to secure our supply chain. And everything that we are producing, everything that we are using has to be secure by default. It shouldn't be an option. It shouldn't be something that we are enabling afterwards. It has to be by default a secure system. And we have to secure our deployments. Let's say we have a firmware that is running on an IoT device. We have to be sure that the firmware image is not changed on the way we are installing it on the IoT device. Otherwise, if it's compromised on the way, that as in the example of the computer chip, we have a compromised IoT devices around the globe. And you may recall that the one of the biggest DDoS attacks are originated on the by using the IoT devices, the cameras and the modems that we are using at home. So, and at the end of the day, we have to retire something. We have to stop using a software. We have to stop using a hardware. We have to stop using a system. And we must be thinking how we can retire that software or that system in a secure manner. And this idea creates a loop, an endless loop that's following itself, a continuum of security. It's not one time only. And if you just make your decisions afterwards, I'm sure you're going to fail. If you're creating a process, a strategy, then you succeed in today's cyber world. So this is basically shifting left. So security has to be an initial thing, not an after thing. We have to think while we are requiring something, while we are designing something. It's always valid for the consumers and also for the developers. This is a must. This is inevitable. Otherwise, you will fail. And it's also good for business, because shifting left is not only good for security from the security perspective, but it's also good from the business perspective, because it gives you a competitive advantage. You can say that whatever I just produce, whatever I develop is secure. And security at every stage of your development process gives a higher quality, and it increases your efficiency, because you're using time wisely. And it saves you money, because if you find a vulnerability at the early stages of your process, it is less money, less time to fix it, rather than fixing it when you're ready to deployment. Let's say that you are a grand opening, you announced everything, everyone around the globe is waiting your software, and you are delaying it because of a vulnerability. Imagine the amount and lose of your respect and the money in terms of customers. So shifting left is not also good, is not only good from the security perspective, but it's also good for the business. And our job as security professionals is to support the business. Security must enable business. And that's the whole idea. And that's the only way that we can cope today's cyber threats. So on your screens, you're seeing a highly genius attack, a ransomware attack. And the attackers crafted a beautiful Microsoft Office package that sent to many different users, saying that this is the latest Microsoft Office Plus bundle with the complementary of Microsoft, and they just designed a beautiful letter inside it, and that USB stick contains ransomware. When you're just at the weakest of your time, install this USB stick on your computer, end of story. That is genius. So this is our enemy. So I'm sure that we are all knowing ourselves, but today to stand in this world, in the cyber world, in a secure fashion, we have to also know our enemies, and they have incredible ways. We have to respect them, because they always find a way into our systems. So we must be aware. And in that thinking, something discrete, one time only, cannot help us. in building our defense strategy in the security. And also there comes the change. So today, to be successful, we have to embrace the idea of change, because there will be a time we have to, like the pandemic that changed everything. Those who are embrace the change succeed. Those who rejected the change suffered. Like in the SSL version 3 case, until that night that the heartbleed, or the day the heartbleed announced, we were saying that SSL version 3 was the secure way of communicating. But from that day onward, from that moment onward, we start saying that, no, please don't use SSL version 3. And this is change. And today, everything is changing because we are living in a disruptive environment. Everything changed. Uber came, changed the way transportation, or Airbnb came in and everything changed in terms of accommodation. So we have to embrace it. And this affects everything. Why? Because in the last 10 years, everything changed fundamentally. The way we are creating software, the way we are doing business, everything. And today, everything in my eyes is software, whether it's an app, whether it's an operating system, whether it's an embedded system or a firmware. Everything is software. And if you're not, and to stay alive in today's world, we have to be more agile, more aggressive, more quick than our competitors. And we have to test everything, because when you fail after you deploy or deliver something, it's a shame. So we have DevOps, right? It was a huge idea that integrated the development and the operations and created an infinity loop, a continuum in software development. And we tested everything whenever deemed necessary. But DevOps is yesterday. DevSecOps is tomorrow. And security has to be a part of our software strategy. I'm saying that it should be. It's not an option. If you have to stay alive in the business and security must be a fundamental part. And that is continuum, right? We have a beautiful crafted development operations. We have operations that they are working in harmony in an infinity loop. And at every stage of this infinity loop, there must be a security decision to make, a testing, a design thing. It's, as you see on your screens, nothing is afterwards. So we have to build the security as an integral part of our development strategies, our operational strategies, and as an individual, our daily lives. Otherwise, we will be a victim of a cyber attack. And as a person, it may have a less effect. But if you think of an organization or a state or a government, you do the math. So lastly, I am visiting a lot of conferences, and during that conferences always makes me smile that hearing the buzzwords. It used to be like AI, machine learning, blockchain, and lately zero trust. And what I call these most respected developers using those buzzwords in their strategies, in their products, I call it cyber fashion. So I hear a lot of products that is providing zero trust, but that is a discrete mindset that I earlier mentioned, that they are saying that if you would try to withstand today's attack, you need a discrete solution by our product. It provides you a zero trust and you will be secured. But zero trust is not a device. It's not a technology, it's a strategy. And strategy means something continuous. Be aware of that. And today, the technological solutions is a fundamental part of our cybersecurity strategy, but alone, they are discrete solutions. To be successful, we have to create a mindset, a company culture that must be secure. And it's always repeating itself. It's always in change, always in motion. That will be my final words, and I would like to salute you with a nice word from Gandhi that please learn forever and live your life as you're going to die tomorrow. Again, Shivani, I would like to thank you by giving me the honor to be part of this great conference. And I am just saluting the great team members of ClipCon and you. And thank you for sharing your, giving me your half hour and listening me. And enjoy the rest of your day, your morning, or your night.
Thank you, Ali, for your kind words. And we are also very glad that you could join us today. And when we were planning this conference, I was like in finalizing our keynotes, and I was like, I have to call Ali because when we spoke and I felt a connection because we were talking about something which actually made sense and it was realistic. So thank you for taking time out. And we have few questions for you from the live audience who were watching you. So
Okay.
we have how can startups take up security when they lack funds in the initial phase? And what minimum security can such companies follow?
So it's always like I am dealing with this daily. So they are always talking me about just leave it afterwards, and I'm always talking about money when this is the challenge. So I can leave this afterwards, but then to um, to do things and to overcome the challenges, the budget has to increase this amount. And if I say that initially I need like 1 unit, and if you want to do this afterwards, it will become like 10, 100, or 1,000 units. And then they will be just starting to bargaining. What can we implement initially or like basically? And I always say that there is not we are not using a single checklist. We are always thinking in terms of business and how we can enable that business. And that is a magic word, enabling that business itself shows you the minimum set of security requirements that you need to install. And it's like a lot of customers are coming and saying that we need a firewall. And I replied, do you need a firewall? What you want to do? And this dialogue creates a conversation, and then the customer realizes that, okay, I'm not really needing that big of a firewall, or I can easily do my I can easily overcome my requirement with another solution, or with basically an administrative statement will replace that technology. So that's how we are doing business.
Thank you so much, Ali, for sharing this. I hope that answers the question of our viewer. And if not, you are free to connect with Ali on LinkedIn, and he will be happy to chat with you further. With that,
Always.
thank you so much, Ali, for coming in. Hope to
Thank
meet
you.
you again sometime
Yes,
soon.
hope to. Yeah, yeah.
Bye
All
bye.
right
Take
then.
care.
Stay safe. Bye bye.